excited that I'm back here today, and I am with Aprio, one of our favorite partners within the School of Accountancy at KSU and Coles College of Business. I am here with Nicole Davis, which is our Talent Acquisition Manager, and Rachel Booth, which is our Campus Recruiter. Nicole Davis is going to give you a little spill about Aprio.
Hi, everybody. We're happy to be here today. Just for those of you who might not be familiar with Aprio, we are a CPA-led business advisory firm headquartered in Atlanta. Our offices are in Sandy Springs, but we also have offices throughout the Southeast in Alabama and in North Carolina. And we are about 650 people right now and always growing. I think that's one of the most exciting things about Aprio. We specialize in tax and audit, and so we have many opportunities for internships and full-time going forward through the rest of the year.
Awesome. Well, Nicole, thank you for that. And thank you guys for joining me. This is going to be super exciting. I think students are really interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this change in the recruitment process. So the question or the topic of today is how to be successful during a virtual SLP. I have no idea. So I'm gonna let you.
A few things to be thinking about with a virtual SLP is that you really still want to make that good impression on the firm and the staff, even though you're virtual. And so how can you do that, right? Like how can you really put your best self forward and really show your personality when you're not there talking and interacting with the staff? One of the things that I think be successful is be paying attention throughout the summer leadership. So people are going to be observing you. People are going to be watching what you're doing. So come prepared with questions, be sitting upright, watching the camera, paying attention. All of that's really important. And those are things that people are paying attention to.
Oh, I love it. So you don't think that I should be like walking away from my computer or looking at my phone, right?
Right. And so, obviously there's Zoom etiquette, and I think everyone's getting a little bit more well-versed on what to be doing on camera, when to have your microphone on and off. And obviously we know these are long days, they're long programs. We know we're at our computers, for half the day and then another half the day the next time. So, go get snacks. Go to the bathroom when you need to, but that doesn't mean that, we'll notice if you're off your camera for like 15, 20 minutes as opposed to maybe 5 minutes here and there.
So bathroom breaks are allowed?
Absolutely, yes. Go to the bathroom, please.
Okay, good. Next question I think would be helpful, as you mentioned, Rachel, is being prepared for an SLP in a virtual setting versus the in-person. So I think our students will know that they should research the company and all of that, but what are some particularly around virtual preparation?
So I think that still for virtual preparation, it's still really important to get dressed up like you're coming to a real summer leadership. And if there's another dress code, I think that the firm will let you know if it's going to be a little more casual. So mention questions, I think, are a really great way to prepare, having those really good questions, the things that you are interested in knowing about, not just those general questions that everybody's going to ask. Really what it is that you're curious about the firm, curious about the certain industries that they work in. Those different unique questions really shine through. Nicole, anything else to add as far as?
Yeah, one of the things that I think sometimes people don't think about, so obviously you can see that we have a virtual background, but also being cognizant if you don't have a virtual background, which is totally fine, you're not expected to have that, but being cognizant of what's behind you or what's around you. If you're going to have a lot of people passing by and you're going to be looking off at them and talking to them, I would suggest like being in a room where you maybe aren't going to have those distractions, making sure you don't have, your beer flag behind you and in your background would be a good idea. So just, being cognizant of those types of things, because those are also things that we're going to notice as well. I mean, everything in this situation, everything comes into account as we're getting to know you. Another aspect is that I wanted to mention is don't be scared to participate. Obviously there's typically going to be a chat function and whatever platform you're using, but also feel free to take yourself off mute and say, hey, I have a question. They'll be the people leading the summer leadership will give you kind of the cues when that's acceptable, and feel free. And I think we really encourage people to, instead of just typing their question, actually say your question, because that lets us get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point, that when you type it in, it's still just like an email, versus if they come off of mute and get to see a little bit more of their personality. I think that's real great. So the next question I think I have is some really strong do's or don'ts. So if you saw something really negative or positive in your experience, can you share that with us?
One don't that I just came right to my mind is don't be texting. Even if your phone is not on camera, you can still tell when people are texting or not paying attention. Do pay attention to the other questions that are being asked as well. So I can't tell you how many questions that are repetitive that we get over and over again. And I think at some point you start to say, okay, are they actually paying attention to the answers that are coming through, or are they just asking a question to just ask a question? And I think that's another thing to pay attention to is, okay, are you asking really valid questions that haven't already been answered is an important aspect.
Yeah, no, that's great advice for sure. And we kind of touched on this by saying be prepared and ask good questions. Would you say that is the number one way to try to stand out in this virtual platform?
Obviously, sometimes questions are going to be the only way to engage, right? But there might be sessions where you actually get to talk one-on-one or in a small group setting, and that is going to be probably the number one way, in my opinion, that you're going to stand out in this situation is when you are in a situation where you're able to talk openly and have a conversation, that's the time to put yourself out.
That's great. Well, this is my last question, unless y'all just have something that's burning inside that their students need to know, is how do you follow up from a virtual SLP? And is the timeline of things going to be different because of the new virtual platforms and all the summer leadership programs typically were kind of around the same time, and now they're going to be really spread out. So any advice you have on that?
Yeah, I think that, similar to, the in-person SLPs, I think follow-up is so important. Anybody you talk to, maybe people that have presented that you enjoyed their information, make sure you let them know.
Especially talking a little bit about the timeline. Obviously, this is a brand new world for not only you guys, but for the firms as well. So, our summer leadership has historically been kind of the way that we make internship offers for our following year. As we're doing this virtually, we're learning, it's not the easiest way to evaluate students and for students to evaluate us. So the timeline where you might expect an offer immediately after the summer leadership is probably going to be a little bit longer, especially considering just we might need more time to have you talk to some more people or whatnot. So I think, don't have the expectation that you're going to get an offer immediately. You might have another round of having to just talk to some, a partner or two. I think that's important to know, and don't let that discourage you from, the firm being interested in any way. I think it's just everyone's trying to navigate a new world and figuring out the best way to go forward.
That's such great advice, because students will get panicked if they leave and they hadn't heard, immediately. So it's good to just give us all a little bit more time than we normally have, because this new world that we're embracing.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I really appreciate y'all. Y'all are good friends of mine. Thanks for doing this. And I can't thank you enough. I know our students are going to get a ton out of it. So thanks for being with me.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks,
we enjoy
Nicole.
it.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Career Conversations with Nicole. I enjoyed having Aprio on. They did have one last thought for you, that if you had already received an offer to come an internship with the firm that you're doing a summer leadership program with, please still come engaged. Ask questions. Don't be on your phone. Do all the things that you would do if you didn't have that offer. And the reason for that is they're still evaluating you. So, with that in mind, everyone go be successful in these next summer leaderships. Until next time.